The whole point of working is so that we can ultimately get to a stage in our lives where the amount of money that we have saved up is able to consistently pay out a wage that we can live off. For many people, this means working their entire lives and putting their money away until they get to the age of about 65 and they can eventually retire. The problem with this approach is that many people don't have enough saved up to retire on and have to rely on government pensions or living out their post-working lives extremely frugally. Across the Western world, people just simply don't have enough money to retire on. In the United States, the median 401k account value at Vanguard for anyone over the age of 65 is a measly $58,000. And in the United Kingdom, there's a shortfall of £27 billion between how much people need to comfortably retire on and the amount of money that they actually have saved up in their retirement pensions. And with millions of people having to dig into their retirement accounts in the current economic climate, this situation is only likely going to get worse in the future. I don't want this to happen to you, which is why in today's video, I'm gonna break down how you can maximize your retirement savings. So let's get into today's video. So to start, let's have a look at the numbers. About 80% of Australians are falling short in what they should have in their retirement savings. Recent research conducted by Canstar found that at every age group, Australians just simply don't have enough in their retirement savings in order to have a comfortable retirement. In order to have a comfortable retirement, you need to have 61 grand saved by age 30, 154 grand saved by age 40, 271 grand saved by age 50, and $430,000 saved by age 60. But the average balance at age 60 was only $180,000, which was a $250,000 shortfall. The problem was even worse for females, whose average balance at age 60 was $275,000 below the comfortable threshold. And to make matters worse, these figures assume that you already own your own home, something that many Australians simply don't have, with many having to rent and being locked out of the property market. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys just how much I have saved up in retirement savings, as well as talk to you about how you can increase your retirement savings. I think this just ultimately comes down to whether you are prepared to make small sacrifices today in order to have more money when you actually need it. For example, I could, if I really wanted to, go out and buy a $200,000 luxury car, or I could invest that money over the next 35 years and watch that money grow to $6.8 million. This means that when I do need to retire, that $6.8 million is going to pay me a consistent salary when I can no longer work. And I think for a lot of young people, retirement isn't really something that they think about. People don't really see their retirement money as theirs. And many people just either don't research or check their retirement savings. Now, before I show you guys just how much I have in retirement savings, I just want to quickly talk about the difference between retail and industry funds. Retail funds are owned by large financial institutions which pay some of its profits back to the shareholders, whereas industry funds are owned by its members, meaning that any profits made go back into the fund. In 2018, retail funds received a lot of criticism from a government royal commission into banking, which found that some banks were underperforming and charging exuberant fees to their members, including dead members. Now, whether you go with a retail or industry fund is completely up to you, but it's always important to consider fees and investment returns before making a decision. So I'm going to reveal to you guys just how much I have in retirement savings. I should firstly point out that the fund that I am with is called UniSuper. I certainly haven't been paid by them to put this video together. In fact, I'm actually just with UniSuper because it's the retirement fund for pretty much all Australian universities, which was the first job that I had after graduating. So I currently have $53,500 $599 in retirement savings, which in my opinion is okay. It's certainly above the average, but it's not that great. Now below is how much my retirement savings have been worth since 2016. So over the last 5 years, you can see that I barely had anything to begin with. In fact, when I first started making contributions, it was only worth $3,150, then $5,380, $9,750, and then by the end of 2017, it was worth $13,773. Now, this is where it really starts to take off for two reasons. Firstly, the job that I had at the time started making additional contributions to my retirement savings. Now, in Australia, it's law that all employees receive 9.5% of their full-time wage paid into their superannuation. Because I was working for a university, I was actually being paid 17% of my full-time wage into my retirement savings account. And so we can see here that at this point, it really starts to take off. So you can see that it increased to $18,490 in 2018. And by the end of 2018, I had $22,481. And then there was a huge increase after that from $22,000 to $31,618. And it just kept increasing from there until it went to $41,791. And in the last 6 months, it has increased by over $11,808 to be worth $53,599. I should also point out that in 2019, I left my position that was paying out 17% into my retirement savings account and got a job in marketing. So my super contributions decreased from 17% back to 9.5%. But what's really going on here is the effect of the investment returns really start to kick in as more money is being put into the retirement account. So with more and more money being put into the retirement account then starts to deliver more and more returns. Now, the next thing I want to go into are the different types of investment packages that they have available. So with your retirement account, you get to choose how your savings are invested. So again, I just want to reiterate that this is not financial advice. This is just me talking about why I decided to go with a particular investment package and has purely been made for entertainment purposes only. Please seek independent financial advice regarding your retirement savings. With that out of the way, I'll show you guys that all of my retirement savings has been invested into international shares. Now, this is just one of the many investment packages that UniSuper has available. When you first open a retirement savings account, the fund actually creates for you a default investment package, which usually consists of cash, bonds, some shares, and property trusts. Now for me, I just felt that that was way too conservative, particularly since I'm so young and not going to be able to access this money for another 30 years. So I decided to put all of my retirement money into the international shares. For me, there was just no point buying cash or bonds which are not going to offer any investment returns over the next 30 years. And here we can see how the international shares package has performed over the past 5 years. So overall, it's up 89% since I first started putting money into my retirement savings account. Now, this isn't the best performing investment package. They've got another investment package called Global Environmental Opportunities, which is up over 168%. But I decided not to go with that because I just felt it was a bit too risky. And they've got a whole bunch of other packages like Australian shares, global companies in Asia, and listed property. Although none of these have performed as well as international shares or the Global Environmental Opportunities package. I also just want to point out that in March 2020, I didn't freak out and change my investment package. So although the value of my retirement savings fell by 20% in March 2020, I just held on and weathered the storm, and it has since rebounded by double digits. And what's even better is that during that time, I was actually still making the retirement contributions, meaning that I was actually buying shares at a cheap price when the market crashed, which has ultimately resulted in the value of my retirement savings rebounding and being worth even more net. So here's a breakdown of my individual shareholdings. I don't actually get to determine these individual stocks because it's all managed by UniSuper. My largest holding is BNP Paribas, which is a French international bank. Then Apple, then JP Morgan, Microsoft, Facebook, Alphabet, which is Google, and then Tencent Holdings. So I think what's really great about this investment package is that it's not just American stocks. It's really well diversified across a number of foreign markets. So I've also got shares in Alibaba, Samsung, Amazon, Visa, Johnson & Johnson, and if we come down to here, I've got 35 grand in other. So it's really well diversified, and it means that if one of these companies goes belly up, I still won't lose all of my money. I also just want to show you guys the Global Environmental Opportunities package, which has just been shooting out of the stratosphere recently. In the last year, it's up over 40%, which is insane. And over the last 7 years, it has delivered an average annual rate of return of 14.16%. This package is made up of companies like Tesla, Solar Edge Technologies, Citrix Systems, and a bunch of others. I don't really know any of these companies. So although the fund is up a lot, I wouldn't choose to invest in this package because I'm only going to go with a package of companies that I know. But I might start doing some research with these companies to see if it's worth it. There's really two main ways to increase your retirement savings. The first is called before tax or concessional contributions, and the second is called after tax or non-concessional contributions. Before tax contributions is basically where you put more money into your retirement account before you're taxed on it as take-home pay. So let's firstly talk about the before tax contributions. In Australia, money that goes into your retirement account is only taxed at 15%, which is substantially lower than the standard tax rate on your take-home pay, which ranges from 32.5% up to 45%. And you are able to contribute up to $25,000 a year into your retirement account this way. Let's take, for example, someone earning $100,000 a year, which includes the 9.5% being paid into their retirement savings account. The 9.5 grand going into their retirement account is taxed at only 15%, meaning that they get paid just over $8,000 a year after tax into their retirement savings. And their base salary, which is $91,500, is taxed at the full rate, which is just over $20,000, meaning that their take-home pay is about $70,000. So in total, after tax, this person takes home about $70,000 as well as $8,000 in their retirement savings account. Now, if that same person instead contributed 25% of their income into their retirement savings account, they would instead be taxed 15% on the $25,000 that they're putting into their retirement savings account, meaning that they actually get paid $21,250 into that account. They are then effectively taxed on only $75,000 of their take-home pay, meaning that they are now only taxed $15,000 and their take-home pay is $60,000. So although their take-home pay has actually decreased by $10,000 a year, they have actually saved $2,675 in tax. Now, personally, I'm not doing this since I don't think it makes much of a difference, but I'll probably consider it in the future when I do start earning more money. Now, the second way to increase your retirement savings is through after-tax or non-concessional contributions. And this is just basically where any money that you have already saved up and already paid tax on can be put into your retirement savings. You can pay up to $100,000 a year into your retirement savings this way, unless the value of your retirement savings is worth over $1.6 million, in which case you have to pay some additional tax. Again, this is not financial advice, but it wouldn't make sense for me to do this, because if you did want to contribute more, you would just go with the pre-tax concessional contributions, since you are saving more on tax anyway. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you got a lot of value out of this video. If you have any more questions about retirement savings, just please leave it as a comment below.